On behalf of the Morton Chamber of Commerce, I would like to welcome you to our Morton Forecast Breakfast. And this morning, we are graced with the presence of Prelude. We thank them very much for being able to attend. We give them a big hand. Please take an opportunity to check out the card that is at your place setting. You can read about some of our upcoming events. May 9th, of course, we're taking a trip from Morton to Springfield to speak with our legislators, with our circle. That's Central Illinois Regional Legislative Effort. It is quite a few chambers from the area from Central Illinois. We have like 18 or 19 now. I will tell you more of that later. And also there's an opportunity to play golf in the golf outing, and that date is also on the card. So I would like you now to help me welcome Ginger Herman, who will give us an invocation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with hearts filled with praise and thanksgiving, recognizing that in all of your majesty and might, you have chosen to bless our community in countless ways. We thank you for the freedom and privilege of being able to assemble and speak freely here this morning, and for all who have and continue to give of themselves to preserve those freedoms. Dear Father, we ask for a blessing on this Morton Forecast Breakfast, particularly all who will speak today. We know that you are in sovereign control of all of your creation, so we ask that you will see our attempts to forecast as our desire, based on our desire to be good stewards of all that you have entrusted us with as we prepare for the future. Now we ask for a blessing on this meal and those who have prepared and serve it. May it be strengthening to our bodies, and may our conversation be strengthening to our minds, so that we can move forward energized and united in our desire to serve you and our community. We ask all these things with thanksgiving in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Please enjoy your breakfast. I'm just sitting here looking out at this fantastic, energetic, bright-eyed, cheery group of people, and I'm thinking, I'm not a morning person, so there must be some explanation for why so many people, such a distinguished-looking group, are here this morning, and I've kind of narrowed it down to 3 possibilities, or some combination thereof. Number 1, pumpkin pancakes. I know that as soon as Jennifer told me we were having pumpkin pancakes, I was all in, and most of us will probably not see them again till parade morning, so that is a special treat. Secondly, speaking of special treats, Prelude and their beautiful music. So if you would just join me in thanking them again. They are going to help themselves to the breakfast buffet now and then stay for as much of the program as they can before they get back to school. So thank you so much for being here. So we've had our pumpkin pancakes and Prelude, and I think the main attraction this morning, though, really is going to be our presenters. We're so thrilled to have representatives of 3 organizations here to give us an update and then maybe a little bit of a look into the future of what their organizations have planned. Our first speaker is Holly Olden. She has worked for the Morton Park District for over 20 years. She and her husband, Scott, have been married for 15 years and have 4 children who attend Grundy Elementary School. Holly's sports background and love for teaching are what drew her to the Park District. Holly has played a variety of sports through the years and now enjoys being able to create programs for children in the Morton community as the Superintendent of Recreation for the Morton Park District. In addition to working for the Park District, Holly serves as a volunteer board member for the Morton Basketball Association and Morton Youth Soccer Organization. Most recently, she has joined the Soccer Scholarship Committee of the Morton Community Foundation. Please help me welcome, representing the Morton Park District, Holly Olden.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today, just to share a little bit with you about what's going on at our parks. As she said, I've worked for the Park District for a really long time. I'm fortunate to have a job where I absolutely love what I do. But this last year, I've had the opportunity to work with our Board of Commissioners and really gain a greater understanding of what a fantastic job they do at partnering with other groups in the community as well as the school district to really make big projects a reality, things that we couldn't do on our own, but that we can do when we work with other groups. Like I said, we really enjoy this opportunity to partner with other people so that we can provide new and different opportunities for people of all different ages in the community. We have a lot of projects underway right now, and as I was telling the people at my table, I always encourage people, when you're out and about in the summer with your kids at games or at a concert in the park or at one of our movies, take a look around at some of the things that are happening. I'm going to start at Westwood Park, and the reason I'm going to start there is because if you've had a chance to look at our summer brochure, we've highlighted the new baseball diamond out there. There's a beautiful picture on the front that Don Piles took. I've got some brochures here if you haven't had a chance to see one. Obviously, the main diamond, that high school field, is completed. That project was a joint effort between the Park District, the Morton Youth Baseball Association, the school district, as well as the Community Foundation. And that first field is finished, but a second field is being completed by the Park District, as well as a large parking lot expansion project so that we can better increase traffic flow, create more spaces for people to be able to come out and watch games. Another project out that same direction is the bike trail extension. Many of you have seen the bike trail as it goes through town, and it will be extended now past Westwood Park, down Veterans, all the way to Stoneway Drive. The next park where there's some really exciting things happening is Birchwood Park. That park sits behind our administrative offices on the corner of Birchwood and Detroit behind Freedom Hall. And what's happening out there is that we're lighting 2 softball fields. That's the second and third diamond, which have never had lights. And I had the opportunity to go out there Friday and see them turn on the lights for the first time, and it's just beautiful. It looks wonderful. So if you have a chance to stop out and see those lights, they've really done a great job. That's been a joint effort between the Girls Softball Association, as well as the Village of Morton, who also has been working on the bike trail extension. I failed to mention that. But when the lighting is totally complete and everything's ready to go, you'll see that there's also been renovation on the concessions as well as the restrooms to bring those up to date. I had a chance to walk through those. Those as well look beautiful. So the last project that is down the road a little ways at Birchwood is to expand and repair the parking there. Another park where we've got big things going on is McClellan Park. McClellan Park is at the corner of Jackson and Tennessee. This is where the soccer games are played. There's been construction completed now on a new press box as well as a PA system. The Morton Rotary Fund provided all of the funding for this new PA system, and if you have a chance, there's a couple more high school girls home games. If you're out there, I would just encourage you to look at it. It really looks nice. We're also going to increase parking at McClellan. We've got a lot of parking going on this summer, but there's a need for it as big events come in and we have more people coming into town. We need to create better traffic flow and more spaces. So parking at McClellan will increase on the north end. The last park where we have a big project is at Idlewood Park, the Idlewood Park Pavilion, which is a fine arts pavilion that will be adjacent to the pool. That project is underway, and it's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful structure. The Morton Fine Arts Association and the Morton Community Fund have provided all of the funding for this project. When that project is complete, then the Park District is going to come back in and put in a restroom and concession facility on site, as well as expand the current storm retention basin, which sits between the pool and where this new park pavilion will be. While those are big projects that are happening, we also have the opportunity to work with other groups to help some of their projects happen. One of those groups that we're partnering with this year is Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Over Memorial Day weekend, they host a triathlon to raise money for their organization, and the swimming portion of that event takes place at our pool on Saturday morning. And so we'll be out there encouraging those triathletes to get through the swimming portion and then move on to the next part of the race. We're also working with Matt and Michelle Parker to host the mud run for St. Jude. That's at Westwood Park, and it's just a great event for your kids to come out and get absolutely filthy and raise money for a great organization. We're teaming up with Inspired Arts Academy for the first time this year to present Willy Wonka as our summer theater production. The theater director at Inspired Arts, Amy Glass, will also be overseeing the production of Willy Wonka this summer for the Park District. Another group that we work with is the Morton Church Softball League. They host their leagues out at Birchwood Park from May through August every year, so they'll be starting up just this week. We work with a variety of what we call affiliate athletic groups in the community, and what we do with them during the summer is we work with them so that they can host big tournaments to raise money for their organizations, which is also a great way to benefit the community because so many teams come in and eat at our restaurants and stay at our hotels. And some of those groups are Morton Blaze, Morton Youth Baseball Association, and Morton Girls Softball Association. So there's a variety of tournaments happening in the parks all summer with those groups. The last group that we've really had a chance to work with as we've seen them grow tremendously this year is Morton Lacrosse. For the first time now, they have youth and what they call junior teams and high school teams, both in the boys and the girls. The boys are playing and practicing out at Southwood Park, which is where the football fields are, and the girls are playing and practicing at McClellan. Those are a few of the groups that we've had a chance to work with, and now I get to the part that I love, which is programs. My main responsibility is to go out and talk with people in the community and find out what are we not doing that you'd like to see us do. And before I get to programs that I'm excited about because they're new and they're different, I always want to look back at the programs and highlight some of those old standbys, I call them, things that have been around that maybe your kids have done or your kids' kids were a part of that are a part of the past. But as we look to the future of the Park District, these are things that are going to be there for a long time. Many of them have been with the Park District for at least 10 years, some of them 20. Some of these are programs that I participated in as a kid, and now as a parent myself, I get to enjoy watching my kids do them. Indoor soccer would be the first one I'd mention. That's a program that serves over 600 kids and adults every 6-week session, and we do 3 of those through the winter. Another one is tumbling. Paulette Hartman runs our tumbling program for preschool and grade school age kids, and she was my tumbling instructor, and now she was my daughter's tumbling instructor, so it's just fun to see these programs as they continue. Another are the Red Cross Youth swimming lessons that we offer for kids 4 and up. We have about 300 kids every summer who come through our Red Cross swimming program, and I just love seeing kids in our community become water safe. The last program that's been around for a long time and will continue is our T-ball and soccer program for kids ages 3 through 2nd grade. This is another one where we have just over 300 kids every summer, and this one specifically is just a great opportunity for us at the Park District to work with the school district because it meets 100% on school property over at Grundy School. And so we've been able to work this year with Mr. Saunders to put in new backstops at the school property that the kids can use at recess, but then we can use throughout the summer for our programs. I've said it to so many of you, but I absolutely love what I do at the Park District, and so I love when I get to share about new programs because these came from ideas that we got from people who just stopped in our office and said, hey, my daughter would really like to do this, or my son would really like an opportunity to do this. And we do more than just sports. I know sports is a big part of it, but we also try to create programs and opportunities for kids of every ability level and every age to be able to get involved in something and feel good about themselves. It's not just about the kid who's really good, but it's about the kid. It's about every kid. We want all of them to come in and find a program and a place where they can participate and recreate, as Mr. Watson likes to call it, and just really have fun. So one of the new things that we just added this year, this spring, is a volleyball clinic for girls in 5th and 6th grade, and that's going really well. That's meeting at Jefferson School, and that's happening right now. Water polo is new for us this summer. We offered some clinics last year just to kind of test the water, so to speak, and see where the interest level was, and people loved it. So this year, for the first time, we're offering a structured water polo program. I mentioned that we're working with Inspired Arts to present Willy Wonka this summer, but we're also working with them now to offer art classes and music classes through the Park District this summer, just to have some new and different offerings for kids to get involved in. We've also added a drawing program through Young Rembrandts. This offers preschool and elementary drawing as well as cartooning classes, and we've seen kids sign up for some of these new classes who haven't done Park District programs before, and so we always love to see more kids getting involved. The final new program that we're adding this year is fall recreational outdoor soccer. As many of you know, this has been run by the Morton Youth Soccer Association for about the last 15 years, and now the Park District will run it this fall. We began registration last week. It's already off to a great start. All of the details and information is in that book, as I mentioned. As I told you before, one of the ways that new things come about is when people stop in or they email requests or they just say, hey, we'd really like to see this. And so one thing that we've heard a lot lately, and maybe from some of you, is we'd really like to see online registration at the Park District. And I want you to know that we have begun researching and doing all of that foundational work that has to happen. We're meeting with other park districts, other directors and secretaries, and saying, you know, what really works well for you? What do you find? What do you love? What do you not love? Where are the problems? What are the things that work well for you? And so what we want to do is we want to find the software system that works well for us and for what we do and the programs that we offer, so that when we implement it, it's really a successful venture and everyone's excited to have online registration. So I just encourage you that that's something that's coming. It's going to take us a little while to do all of the research that's required, but online registration will be something you'll see in the future at the Park District. There's so many different things going on, as I mentioned, and what I know is we couldn't do any of those without the involvement of other groups in the community that so many of you here today represent. And when I think about the forecast for the future for the Park District, I know that it's bright and sunny. There's so many great things coming. I appreciate the opportunity to come and to be able to share with you and just give you a small glimpse into what we do at the Park District. Thank you.
Okay, that's what I was talking about when I was talking about energy and cheerfulness in the room. Thank you so much, Holly, for that very enthusiastic and fantastic information. Appreciate all that you do. Our next speaker is Dr. Lindsay Hall. In addition to being a wife and mother, Dr. Hall is in her 24th year as a public educator. She has worked her entire career in the state of Illinois. Starting out as a teacher at Danville High School, she progressed into the administrative ranks in 1994 in the Muhammad Seymour schools. First as an assistant junior high principal and athletic director, and then for 8 years as junior high principal in that district. In 2005, she was named high school principal in DeKalb. After 4 years in that position, she was named assistant superintendent in the DeKalb schools. And on July 1st, 2012, she assumed the position of superintendent of Morton District 709. Dr. Hall has a bachelor's degree from the University of Colorado, a master's degree in health education from Western Illinois University, and a master's in educational administration from Eastern Illinois University. A long-time dream to earn her doctorate was achieved in 2006 when Dr. Hall graduated from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign with a Doctor of Education in Educational Organization and Leadership. She has been married to Jay for 22 years, and together they have 4 children and 1 grandchild. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lindsay Hall.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this morning. I just want to echo Holly's words about what a great place Morton is to live and work, and the amount of support that we have from the community for the schools, and I know for the Park District, the library, the village. It's just a pleasure and an honor, and I'm so grateful to be here. So I've looked forward to speaking today, and I'm going to do my best to talk a little bit about the future, but I wanted to first start off by laying a little bit of groundwork about some of the financial situations that we face as a public school district in the state of Illinois. And you'll be happy to know I'm not going to talk about the sales tax today. Many of you have heard that speech multiple times. But I do want to talk a little bit about finances and then a little bit about facilities, then also just try to look in the future as much as we can. One of our biggest challenges with public schools is that the future is very unpredictable. And I know that many of us in whatever organization you work in or that you lead, we're all faced with those kinds of financial inconsistencies and unpredictable situations that make it difficult to predict the future and plan. But we do our best, and I have to say that historically the District 709 schools have practiced a very conservative approach to budgeting and finance, which has put this school district in a very favorable position overall in the state of Illinois, and that's a testament to the leaders that preceded me and to all of the school board members. That is really an amazing thing right now because so many school districts in the state of Illinois are really hurting. I do want to just acknowledge some guests that are here today who I have the privilege of working with. The president of our school board, Tom Neely, member Michelle Bernier. I did see Mr. Clint Heinold in the audience, I believe. Clint's over there. And a newly elected school board member, Kelly Scarf. And our communications coordinator for the district, Carol Jankowski. So I appreciate their presence this morning. So just very quickly, I want to go through where does our money come from in District 709. And this looks a little bit different for all school districts. But in District 709, we happen to be very, very heavily reliant on local property taxes. We do not get much money from the state. In fact, it's gone down quite a bit just in the last couple of years. Only about 7.5% of our revenue comes from the state of Illinois, and this is half of what it was just 6 years ago. We don't get very much money from the federal government. We have a few, we do have some Title I money and some special ed money, but it's really, you can see, very small. And then we also have some other sources of local revenue from fees, from registration, lunch fees, and athletic income as well. Well, where does our money go, and how do we spend it? We have several different funds, the largest of which is the Education Fund. And within the Education Fund, you can see the vast majority of our money goes to pay salary and benefits for our 400 employees. 7% is purchase services, supplies and materials is a little bit, capital outlay, and then 3% just other ancillary costs that we incur in the Ed Fund. So you can see that, and this is true for most school districts, I would say all school districts, that the vast majority of our budget is devoted to the human resources sector. So I wanted to just pose this question. No, you don't need to answer out loud. It's more of a think in your mind kind of question. But for whatever organization it is that you're involved with or that you lead or that you work for, I want you to take a look at these questions and just in your mind answer those. Are you experiencing a decline in healthcare costs? Are you experiencing a decline in what you pay your employees? Are utility and fuel costs going down for you? What about facility maintenance costs or costs related to building new facilities? Are your insurance costs going down? Are you seeing less red tape, reporting, accountability, data collection? And are you subject to mandatory inspections which result in mandatory changes to your buildings? And my guess is that the vast majority of you are answering all of those questions no. You're not seeing a decline in any of those things, and neither is our organization. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that last bullet point in a couple of slides. I want to first lay a foundation here very quickly of just how do we get our property taxes. And this is very timely because I don't know about you, but I just got my tax bill in the mail. Yay! None of us like to get that, let's be honest, but we all know that there are certain entities which taxes must support, and the school district happens to be the largest of those entities in this area. So I want to just talk a little bit about the timeline for how we get our revenue. And so this would be looking forward from for the end of 2012 into the future. So at the end of every year, but let's focus on December of 2012, we find out what the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, will be. Then the following September, we receive an estimate of the EAD that includes new growth, and this is from the previous year. So in September of 2013, we get an estimate of the EAV from the county, and that's based on the previous calendar year. Then, by law, in December of 2013, and every December, the Board of Education approves a tax levy, and this is the mechanism by which we gather or which we receive our local revenue, how we receive property tax money. Then, the following May and August, we all get our bills in the mail. We just got them end of April. So that'll happen next year in 2014. And then we receive 3 installments, big checks, of disbursements of the property tax extension. And we get those the biggest ones come in July and October, and then kind of a follow-up check in December. So you can see that the process of us gathering revenue is extended out over a lot of different months. But I also want to just talk about something that plays a very big role in how public schools operate in some counties, and Tazewell County happens to be one of the counties in Illinois, and I don't know how many counties have the PTEL law, but PTEL is commonly referred to by its more informal name, which is tax caps. And PTEL stands for Property Tax Extension Limitation Law. Now, you heard me refer to CPI, Consumer Price Index. So why is CPI so important with PTEL? Well, CPI is what we are capped at, either CPI or 5%, whichever is less, and CPI historically has always been less. That is how we are limited to annually raising the tax extension. So we have some limits. We can't just arbitrarily, raise taxes out of control, and that was the purpose of the PTEL law when it was passed in the 1990s. And Tazewell County has been a PTEL county for many years. But I want to talk a little bit about how this impacts us when we're looking to gathering revenue through property taxes. When we look at each year's tax levy, the starting point, the basis point, is the previous year's tax extension. So each new year's levy is based upon the tax extension, or the total amount of property taxes gathered from the previous year. Under the PTEL law, if we lowered the property tax extension, we create a compounding downward spiral of loss of tax revenue from year to year. So I know, and I've been asked the question, why do our property taxes go up every year for the school district? And the reason is partly because under PTEL, we are, in a sense, forced to do that. Otherwise, we face this downward spiral of loss of revenue because the levy is based upon the previous year's tax extension. And remember that 85% of our income in 709 comes from local property taxes. So if we were experiencing a downward spiral of revenue, that's going to be in direct conflict with those increased costs of operation that we just talked about a couple of slides ago. So one of the most important parts of the EAV is the aspect of new growth. And in 2011, there was almost $5 million of new growth in the EAV. Our total EAV in 2011 was just a little over $512 million. But when we pull in our property tax extension in 2013, you can see that almost $1 million of that will be directly related to the new growth that has occurred within the boundaries of the Morton School District. And a growing EAV is a very, very important part of a healthy future for any school district. And we are so fortunate here in Morton. We've seen constant steady growth of the EAV. But if you're in a school district where the EAV is declining, especially in today's economic climate, you're going to really be in trouble. That forces you to have to raise the tax rate just to get to the level of revenue where you were previously, but then you're not going to be able to keep up, again, with all those increasing costs that we had talked about in that previous slide. So new growth can be divided into, I think we all know, residential and commercial. And from a school district standpoint, it's important that there's a balance between those two. And we've seen a very healthy balance of that here in Morton. And in my short time here, that's been what I've seen. The reality for school districts is that the tax revenue that's gathered from pure residential growth does not cover the cost of educating the children that are in those homes. So while we welcome new kids to the school district, and we're certainly seeing new families, and our enrollment in our lower grades is going up, that the property taxes paid by homeowners doesn't cover the cost of educating, especially multiple children in those homes. So the growth in the commercial sector in the EAV is very, very important. And we have approved one tax abatement in the last year, and we're looking to do another one. And we do consider those on case-by-case basis to attract businesses to town. We don't just automatically do that. We put a lot of study into consideration into those tax abatements because they do impact us. As the largest receiver of tax money, we have to be careful about if we're going to turn down tax money for a certain number of years. But we also want to balance that with attracting businesses to our local economy that overall will help us on a long-term basis. So to talk a little bit and move into facilities, one of the biggest expenditures outside of the human resource function in school districts generally has to do with facilities. And the second largest fund that we have is the Operations and Maintenance Fund. Sometimes that's referred to as the Building Fund. And we do have a significant list of maintenance and capital improvement projects that we're going to be working on over the next 5 years or so. And I want to go back to that bullet point that I alluded to earlier about the mandatory inspections that result in things that we are mandated to address in our buildings. Every 10 years, school districts are subject to a life safety survey. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This is a good thing. But what comes out of those surveys generally is millions of dollars of work which school districts are mandated to do. And we can levy in the life safety fund, or we can levy in the building fund to cover some of those costs. But typically, those costs far exceed what the revenue that we're able to bring in. So some of the life safety survey costs turn into unfunded mandates from the state. And again, the purpose of those is to make sure that our buildings are up to code and that they're safe. And I don't want to imply in any way that we're not willing to follow all the safety and health codes that are out there. But many times school districts are challenged with paying for some of the mandated fixes that come with those inspections. You've probably heard that we're going to be moving the transportation facility out to Cortland Avenue. That's a project we're going to be working on this summer. We have a large project. Actually, the groundwork is being laid as we speak, replacing the heating system at the high school. That's a long-term, about 18-month project that's already underway. And we're going to be this summer starting working on a long-term facilities plan to address the need of our aging buildings, our growing enrollment, and the changes in curriculum that are on the horizon for us. I like to point out that our buildings are in outstanding condition, but the newest one is 45 years old. And our custodial and maintenance folks just have done an amazing job of caring for our buildings. If you go in there, they're absolutely spotless, they're clean, they're well maintained. But at some point, they're old and they're getting older, and we need to continue to address the needs of our facilities. I just want to very briefly talk about, in regard to facilities, that the use of space in buildings is changing. And as we look to the future and we try to forecast what the future looks like for the Morton School District, the uses of space in school districts everywhere is changing. The old model of teachers standing in front of neat rows of 30 students I'm not saying that doesn't ever occur, it occurs once in a while, but there's a lot of different ways that we need to educate kids in order to meet children where they're at and have them be participating in a very effective learning environment. We also employ a lot of different types of certified employees that even 20 years ago or 10 years ago not all school districts had. Those things include psychologists, social workers, speech language pathologists, nurses. There's also instructional coaches, RTI coordinators, and so all of those different types of employees that are meeting the needs of our students require different types of spaces than that older buildings traditionally many times don't have. So those are some of the different questions that we need to be looking at as we move to the future. So I want to share with you some enrollment data. And this is overall in the school district about the last 6 years, and you can see that we've had a fairly consistent growth going on. It kind of jumps around a little bit. You can see that we really took a jump between '08 and '09, and then again from 2011 to 2012. This is more telling, though. And this is our enrollment in early childhood through 6th grade. And this is where we're really seeing the growth. And I can tell you that we are adding staff next year to address the growth in our lower grades because our classes are getting larger. So I want to also talk a little bit about when we're talking about finances and how tax money gets spent. That this horizontal line going across this graph here is at 85%, and that is what we call the AYP threshold. And that is the standard to which public school districts were held in 2012 for all of their students to meet or exceed the standards on standardized tests. So you have to be at 85% overall. The vertical line is the state average in per pupil instructional expenditures. Now, instructional is not the entire amount, it's just the amount that comes out of the education fund. And the state average for that is about $6,800 per student. Now, this triangle here is Morton, District 709. So you can see that we are exceeding the AYP threshold overall, and we're also spending less than the state average per student to do so. And what you can't see on this graph, unfortunately, is that there's a whole lot of other dots around the red triangle. Some are over here, some are over here, some are over here. You can imagine that if your school district was over here, you'd be thinking, wow, what am I getting for my tax money? Because our schools are not doing very well and I'm paying a lot of money. But you can see that this is really kind of a prime spot to be, and I have to say that I'm really proud of that, and I think that that's a testament to a lot of good work coming together in our schools. I also wanted to share with you quickly what the tax rates look like of local school districts, and you can see Morton's kind of the middle of the pack here. The school districts that have asterisks by them are separate school districts between K-8 school districts and high school districts. So they're completely different taxing bodies. And we've done our best to estimate what their total tax rate would be. And this is the tax rate just for schools. It doesn't include other taxing bodies. But I just want to point out that Morton, again, kind of in the middle of the pack. Unit 5 is that those are the normal schools. Here's Bloomington District 87. And so you can see that, again, our tax rate is middle of the pack, kind of average, and these are 2012 tax rates. So to talk a little bit about the forecast, I've divided it into challenges and opportunities. And just to talk a little bit about the challenges, I know it just sounds like a broken record, and I apologize, but we see continually reduced funding from the state of Illinois for public schools statewide. The state of Illinois calls that prorating, and it really is cutting of funds. Unfunded mandates are those laws that come to school districts that do not have the monetary or financial resources backing them for us to pay for them, and we do experience quite a lot of those. We are looking possibly at pension reform that will shift the costs of fixing the pension system to local school districts. There's a lot of work in Springfield going on with that right now. I'm not really quite sure where it stands. There are huge costs associated with health care. I'm sure in many of your organizations you're experiencing the same thing. The lowering of the state's credit rating causes us all costs in some way, shape, or form. When the state of Illinois needs to borrow money and it's at a higher rate, all those costs somehow, some way, get shifted to the rest of us. There's an increasing burden on our property taxpayers, and our challenge with public schools is that there's not a lot of other options to go to with that. And I can tell you that that is one reason why that we were pursuing the option of the county schools facility sales tax. It did represent a shift away from property taxes, but at the same time, I'm the first to say I understand that it was another tax increase. So I do understand that. And here in Morton, we will likely need to look at spending some of our fund balances to meet some of the challenges that we face, especially with some of the facilities issues that are going to be on the horizon with us. One thing I just want to point out is that some more challenges for us is that many times school districts are faced with the question of, well, why don't you just cut costs? Why don't you just more responsibly guard the taxpayer money? And I want to go back to those questions that I asked the entire audience. Those questions about health care costs, maintenance, fuel, insurance, we are also experiencing increases in those costs. We have a collective bargaining agreement with our teachers as well, and that's an agreement that we are mandated to follow because we bargain those raises and those benefits in good faith. Our collective bargaining agreement with our teachers happens to be very competitive. It's not excessive or exorbitant. We want to attract quality teachers to the Morton School District. But when school districts need to cut things, we have to look to what our largest cost is, and that's people. And when you cut people, you raise class sizes and you cut programs. And I can tell you that that is on the bottom of my priority list because we have such a high-quality school district in Morton, and it is my priority to maintain that excellence because that excellence in schools is good for the local economy, the county, the area, and it attracts businesses and other residents to come here. So to talk about opportunities and to end on a more positive note than talking about all of our challenges, in my opinion, and what I see and what helps schools and what helps our local economy is attracting new growth to expand the EAV, both residential and commercial. Sometimes that does need to be paired with economic incentives, and we are happy to look at those opportunities. And as I've said, we have agreed to one tax abatement this past year, and we'll be looking to approve another one just in the next couple of weeks. Growing enrollment translates to increased need to look at our facilities as well as more employees. Maintaining our standard of excellence is a top priority, I know, for the school board and for myself, but we have to also be committed to continuous improvement and growth. Continued responsible stewardship of the taxpayer money is a priority. And again, we want to be very sensitive and understand the burden that our taxpayers have in funding schools. We appreciate what everybody does. I'm a taxpayer here. I know where my tax dollar goes. But to continually have to go back to property tax is frustrating for all of us. And so seeking alternative funding sources is important and something that we should consider. I don't know where we're going to go with the facility sales tax. It is possible to put it back on the ballot, but I think that collectively the superintendents and school boards in Tazewell County are going to have to talk about whether that's the route that we want to go. So I appreciate all of your time. I hope that was informative and helpful. You know where to find me if you have any questions, and I'm always happy to respond to emails and phone calls. So thanks so much for the opportunity to talk today.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. I think our school district is in very capable hands as we look at the challenges and opportunities. All of that talk about state mandates made me just want to take a moment and thank our state representative for his for watching out and always having the best interests of his constituents and representing us so wonderfully. So thank you, Keith Summer, for being here today. Our third speaker this morning is Mayor-elect Ron Rainson. He brings a vast array of experience in both the public and private sectors. He has served as the president, CEO of several firms, including Rainson Associates, a Michigan-based offshore construction management firm specializing in the Middle East, Axis Inc., a global engineering firm with offices in London, New Delhi, and the United States, Life O2 Inc., a U.S. firm developing products for proprietary technology with global relationships, including the People's Republic of China and the Republic of South Africa, and East Kentucky Power, a Department of Agriculture wholesale electric utility. He has also served as the general manager of the Holland, Michigan Board of Public Works, chairman of Randolph & Associates consulting firm, Vice President of Operations for Central Illinois Light Company, and Vice President for Mergers and Acquisitions for Silcor. His volunteer activities include service on the boards of the Bradley University College of Engineering and Technology, Hopedale Medical Complex, and Central Illinois Red Cross. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Management, and is a registered professional engineer in 4 states, including Illinois. He and his wife, Patricia, have been residents of Morton for 32 years. They're the parents of 3 daughters, and they also enjoy spending time with their 9 grandchildren. And on that note, he just told me that he returned from Kentucky yesterday, sharing a proud grandpa moment as his grandson attained the rank of Eagle Scout Award. So thank you. Congratulations on that. On April 9th, Mr. Rainson was elected to the office of village president. He will take his oath of office at the May 6th village board meeting. Please help me welcome Mayor-elect Ron Rainson.
No organization worked harder during the recent election than the EDC and the Chamber, so you can imagine I'm especially excited to be here. It was said that I would take Morton back to the Dark Ages, a romantic thought. It was also said to the members of the staff that I would decimate their budgets. So I thought I'd take a few minutes here this morning to help people understand how easy it is to work with conservatives. One of the things that I heard about during the election was a study for a water park. We were curious about the money that was spent. We didn't understand what was happening or who authorized it or anything else, but in order to show you how cooperative I'm willing to be, a little surprise for you this morning, I have purchased a water park for Morton. This is, here it is. You'll notice the compact design, and this is, of course, more conservative than probably that you would like. And I hear some snickering, but that's because you think this isn't going to attract the tourist trade, when in fact the young lady on the left went over 3 blocks to enjoy this facility. So I think you'll have to agree that this will help the tourist trade. In addition to this issue, the other one that I wanted to clear the air on was the plaza. I was concerned at the price of the plaza, and so in order to show my cooperative spirit, I had the plaza designs changed at my own expense, and this is what we came up with. Now, I heard one snicker, thankfully, and you'll have to imagine that the grass is cut. Mr. Watson said that he would cut the grass from time to time. And this is a very classic wooden bench. Now, before you say, oh, this is going to be our new plaza, I did talk to some of the concrete manufacturer or contractors in town, and they told me they resented this design because it had so little concrete in it. So again, at my own expense, we redesigned. And you can see the pretty lavish use of concrete that we've installed here, and a modern new bench instead of the wooden bench. And the bench, by the way, has a plaque on the back describing the name of the park. Well, those were the two projects I wanted to clear the air on, but a more important issue was my promise that we would have a safe and sound community. And one of the issues that was said was that, gee, if I got to be mayor, there wouldn't be any money for new police cars and so forth. So the chief and I started looking at vehicles that we thought might be able to serve two purposes. It might be able to do more than just simply be patrol cars. And so we went out and we did some experimenting. Now, you can see that this one didn't quite meet specifications. That's the chief on the right there. Is the chief here today? Good, he's been released then. So in order to prove to you that I am flexible, we did decide that one way to save money on the police department would be to put more police in each car. And so we did some studies and we found that 7 in a car was optimum. Right, Chief? Back me up on this. In addition to that, there was a lot of talk during the election about the firehouse and how elaborate the firehouse was. So, again, I wanted to show you what being a little conservative will help you do. And so, since we're going to need a third firehouse, I found one myself. Now, this is a little bit of a fixer-upper, but I'm told that Joe Kelly is an extremely handy guy, and he should be able to get this in shape in several years. Now, the last item, you'll be glad to know, is the Sister Cities issue. The Sister Cities is actually something that I do support. I think it's important that the Sister City have things in common with us. So I went out to find the Sister City, something that would trump everything everybody else did, and it had to be a Sister City that had something in common with us. And so, well, I've lost it. Oh, that's all right, hon. If there's anything to timing and jokes, that one just lost its time. I did talk to the Sister City, and they said that while they hadn't been willing to merge with anyone else, that our culture had for some years now been headed that way, so they were anxious to do it. All of these slides that I just showed you have something in common. They're silly. Each one of these issues is silly. They've been silly today, and they've been silly for the last couple of months as I listened to them described that way. Everybody in this room is worried about Morton. Everybody in this room cares about Morton. We all want to see it move ahead. If I do it a little differently, well, there's a reason for that. I look at the state of Illinois and I see a state that had the resources of a country. It has enough coal to fire all the coal plants in the Midwest. It grows more corn than Iowa most years. We have enough fresh water, and I actually calculated this, to give everybody in the world enough drinking water. And yet the state's been trashed. It's a country, all right, it's Greece. And then similarly, I look over at the federal government. They're spending money faster than they can print it. And not a single congressman has a clue about how to save a nickel. So from that perspective, I look at Morton. It's in good shape. It has a good school system. It has nice parks. We have a few dollars in the bank. We have a great police department. We have great infrastructure. I just want to be very careful and keep it that way. So if I go a little slower and I'm a little more careful and I ask a few more questions, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Thank you.
I'm a little slow. I just had a joint replaced. So anyway, I thank you all for coming. I especially thank the speakers for today. And I am remiss if I don't thank Jennifer Daly for all of her hard work, for the Chamber for putting on this event, and also for just coming and listening and working together. That's what the important thing is. Please consider attending Springfield on May 9th with our group from Morton to the Circle legislative effort. We're talking about pension reform, workers' comp issues, timely payment of bills, and also there's a minimum wage increase that's out there. So you may register by going to the Morton Chamber website, or you can call the Chamber and talk to Marty Cole. She'd be happy to help you. So thank you very much again. Have a great day. Thanks.